Well, it appears the BBC is going to have to grow up and get a job. Gonna have to pull your own weight because Sugar Daddy is cutting the credit card. So, of course, I don't live in the UK, so I'm not familiar with all the parties involved and whatnot. But there was this tweet from Nadine Dorries, who she announced this that the license fee is coming to an end. I believe by 2027 there will be no more. Right now, it'll be frozen. So that means at the rate that it is, it will not be increasing with the rate of inflation. So it's where the rate that it is currently is what it will be. I suppose there will be people moving to try to stop this before you get to 27, but what are you going to do? How long can you keep this going? And of course, she announces this. The license fee announcement will be the last. The days of the elderly being threatened with prison sentences and bailiffs knocking on doors are over. I mean, geez, is that what they did? Over television. Yeah. So it's time now to discuss and debate new ways of funding, supporting, and selling great British content. And the British have produced an awful lot of great stuff over the decades and whatnot. But when you're enabled and coddled and you don't have to worry about anything, you can do whatever you want, the creativity becomes stagnant and then turns into something really, really awful. And that's part of the problem. You wouldn't have a problem overall, I think the whole idea of a license fee is ridiculous. But you probably wouldn't have it from the public if the programming was, good. And also didn't devolve into the cesspool of identity politics and insult the viewers and all that, yet force them to pay for it and that sort of thing. It was never going to sit well. But the more interesting aspect is what she's talking about here is now we got to discuss and figure out how to support yourself, like everybody else. And one of the ways is, of course, to produce programming people actually want to see. You can make money that way, but you also need these programs that become your cash cows. And these are programs that have large numbers of audiences and reach beyond your shores and lead to a cool thing known as merchandising. Yes, you need programs that can sell calendars and t-shirts and coffee mugs and toys. Lots and lots of toys. All that good stuff. And oh gee, what do they have that can do that? Well, it used to be, yes, Doctor Who. And remember when Doctor Who was king? Remember when it really was Time Lord victorious? Back in those days, Doctor Who was everywhere. All kinds of Doctor Who stuff. Again, toys, t-shirts, mugs, little TARDIS piggy banks, all that cool stuff that people just ate up, because they loved the show. And it was a show that appealed to a wide range of people and all that. It was just lovely, And then it died. There's this lumbering corpse that keeps moving around like a zombie, but that's about what the franchise is. And it came to the point now where you had to farm it out. So that's what happened. So it's farmed out to Russell T Davies to come in and save the day, which got a lot of people's hopes up with his Bad Wolf Productions company, which has been bought by Sony. So Sony is going to really be footing the bill on this. And what Sony Pictures has lately done with their Venom and Spider-Man and all that stuff, and Ghostbusters and that sort of thing, where it just appeals to the audience. And that's it. They just make entertaining films. And that's what you need to do with Doctor Who. Now, Doctor Who is a mess. No, not even really, because they made a female doctor. In a lot of ways that could have worked, but that really wasn't the intent. And then the Timeless Child came along, and that was Last Jedi level devastation to the canon and franchise and lore of Doctor Who. It can't continue with that in place. You've got to write your way out of it if you want to keep that intact for whatever reason, or just retcon it completely. I think it would be too lazy to just ignore it. I mean, there's some things that were stumbles throughout Doctor Who that they ignore, and it's most notably the 96 TV movie with the Doctor being half human and all that. Yeah, is still keep it canon that Paul McGann's Doctor was the 8th Doctor and all that sort of stuff, but some of the details of it just ignore that. But here, with the Timeless Child, that's a complete rewrite of Doctor Who, and you just can't have that. So that has to be dealt with, and if it isn't, well, I don't care how much money Sugar Daddy Sony is giving you up front. If you don't produce, they're going to cut that cord, and I don't know where you go. But you got to get it back up afloat, and BBC can just sit back and collect the money that's due them, since they're still the owner of the property. They're licensing it out to Russell T Davies, but it's still there. So a lot of those profits is going to be split there, and that comes to them. And if you make it back into the monster that it once was, then that's a lot of money to go around. And all those sales of toys and whatnot, a lot of that would probably, a big chunk of that would go into BBC's coffers, depending on what the negotiations were and what have you. And then, of course, Davies he's talking about a Doctor Who universe with spin-offs and all that sort of thing, which he had already done. And then, something happened. It got destroyed. So he's got to start over. And, he's got to start over. But if he doesn't deal with that Timeless Child thing, that's a nasty foul stench stain on the franchise that if you don't get it out of there, it just remains the damaged goods that it is now. Sure, Russell T Davies is a far superior writer to Chibnall, but so what? If the plot stinks, it stinks. I don't care if the dialogue's better and some of the sci-fi concepts are better and scenarios and whatnot. It's still gonna stink with that Timeless Child crap. You got to get that out of there. Doctor Who didn't need to be treated like that. Doctor Who had won his position in fandom and in the sci-fi titans of storytelling and heroes, and it was fine. This sort of thing was unnecessary and was done for the idiot of reasons. Identity politics is not. There's nothing good comes of that. And attacking your own fan base who had been loyal to the show despite the different diverse cast that you had introduced. No one rejected any of that. And then here you do this. You kept pushing and pushing. If I could just get someone mad so I can call them a bigot. Seems to be the direction that sort of thing happened. Now, I don't know what happens with the other shows. I've seen examples of silliness, race-swapping historical characters. Yeah, you're not going to go anywhere with that. So eventually you run out of the money, and now Sugar Daddy has pulled the plug, and you're going to need, you're going to have to cut your budgets. It's going to be on the cheap, but you're going to have to deal with stories and scenarios and plots that are entertaining for the public to want to watch it, and you're going to have to make money the honest and hard way, not from Sugar Daddy. And meanwhile, you're going to need properties like Doctor Who that can bring in big money. Not a lot of shows can do stuff like that because there's not a whole lot of demand for the extra stuff in the merchandise and whatnot that brings in buttloads of money. So if Davies can do it, and if they can regenerate Doctor Who, then you've got quite the cash cow coming in. That's ultimately, well, you're not going to need a license fee, and you got to roll up your sleeves and do the work. And that's the way it is. There's no real escaping that. So anyway, this scenario of the BBC in a desperate position here is a hopeful sign for something like Doctor Who, in that Russell T Davies just wouldn't come in and do prettier scripts than Chibnall did, but it's still the same stuff, and the Timeless Child is still canon, then I don't care. I don't care how pretty up it is. No, it's not going to work. And if that's the deal, like, oh well, Davies is all on board with the wokeness himself, so he's perfectly fine with maintaining that, no matter what. That would be a very, very unwise decision. But in the situation that they're in, I don't see that they have much choice. They have to abandon that. A lot of people would want Jody's doctor completely erased. I don't think so. I don't think he would do that. But Timeless Children plot, that's got to go. And if you get rid of that, I think you'll be fine. Jody's doctor will always be one of these faces you see when they look back at past doctors and that sort of thing. But that's all it would be. And if that's the price to pay, I think it's a rather small one in comparison to what the Timeless Child means for the just absolutely shattering the lore of Doctor Who. So there is some sign here. I mean, originally it was like, oh, Davies is coming back, but still, did it mean that he would really retcon all of that? Couldn't be sure. And there were some elements that seemed to suggest he wouldn't. But this is pretty desperate times. It's really in bad shape, and the BBC overall. So this is one of the scenarios where people speculated what could possibly save Doctor Who. Well, this is one of them where it gets getting farmed out, and the BBC's broke. They're out of money. So, gee, what can you do to make money? Well, it's right in front of you. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness, so many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.